Hello and welcome back to the 100 Acre Wool Knitting Podcast. My name is Bella, and as always I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California, and this is a podcast where I like to share with you everything that I'm making, and that's usually knitting related, pretty much always knitting related, sometimes some sewing and other fiber arts thrown in there as well. But today is going to be all about knitting and yarn and things of that nature. So if you're interested in those things, stick around. If you would like to follow me elsewhere on the interwebs, I am also on Instagram and Ravelry at 100 Acre Wool. And on Ravelry, I really try to make sure I have all the details for all my projects on there. So everything that I've ever knit, all the details of yarn and any modifications that I do, those I try to put on Ravelry. And as with all of my videos, links to everything that I talk about today will be below this video in the description. So whether it's yarn or other makers that I discuss or patterns, all of that will be down below. And yeah, so I guess we'll get started with today. I guess we'll talk about what I'm wearing first, since I am wearing a hand knit, actually multiple hand knits. So these are two patterns, or two pieces that I knit last year. The jacket or the cardigan that I'm wearing, this is called the O-Knot cardigan, and it is designed by Taylor Owen, another fellow YouTube podcaster here on YouTube. She has a knitting podcast as well. So yeah, I love this cardigan. I wear this thing all the time. I really, it's a workhorse cardigan. I just wear it around the house. I wear it going out. I really love it. It's held up really well. I think it may have been almost a year since I finished this. I think I finished it in spring. I don't know, but it's been a pretty long time, and it's still in really great shape. And again, I say I wear it a lot. The yarn that I used is I'm totally forgetting what it's called. It's a rustic yarn. It's 100% wool. Gosh, I will put the name of the yarn here because it's just totally blanking. I'm totally blanking on it. But I do really love the yarn and the pattern. I will stand up and show you the back, since the back is my favorite part. So hopefully you can see the cable details there. It's a really beautiful cardigan, and it also has pockets down here, so I just love this thing. Wear it all the time. And underneath I am wearing my golden oak tank top. Not sure if you can see the details at the bottom there, but this one I also finished last year, and it's very soft. I really love the pattern. It's just a really nice tank top. If you would like to have any sort of knits to layer, I know sometimes, especially in California, can't always wear sweaters and warm things, hats and gloves and things like that. So having some tank top patterns is really great, as a Californian at least. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. I love these pieces to death. I wear them all the time. They are staples in my wardrobe by now. Yeah, so highly recommend those two patterns. Those will be linked down below. And with that, let's get into my works in progress, my current whips, things I'm working on knitting-wise. So the first thing I have to share with you, I cast on a new and shiny. I know. Don't we all do that sometimes? We mean to finish things and we end up casting on new things. Oh well. So this is a pattern that I saw on Instagram a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, and I just fell in love with it immediately. I thought it was so elegant and so beautiful. So I applied to be a test knitter. It is a new pattern coming soon. So this is called, I will show it to you. Here we go. This is called the Swirl Slipover by Twin Knits. Twin Knits are a pair of twins, really lovely girls. I think they're from Denmark. And they are kind of new knitwear pattern designers, but the things that they've made so far, at least, are absolutely beautiful, and I really love their aesthetic and design style. So yes, I am a test knitter for this project. I cast it on a few days ago, and it is working up extremely quickly. I am really happy with it. So I have done a little bit of the back. This is the back portion. It is worked top down, so I cast on here at the top and work down. I have these stitches on just a spare piece of yarn right now because I'm going to be picking those up and continue working down later on. And then I have also started on the front. So it's going to be kind of a V-neck. It is a folded over twisted rib for the neckline, but it kind of gives the design, I think, kind of gives it like mimics or gives you kind of an idea of a V-neck. It gives you that kind of vibe, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, so I've started on the front here as well. Beautiful cables. It's a lovely pattern. It's very intuitive to knit, so once you kind of get the hang of the pattern, once you kind of get the rhythm, you don't even really have to look at the chart, in my opinion. So it's been a joy to knit. It's really relaxing. Even though it is cables, it's actually very nice and relaxing cables. And also the yarn that I'm using, it is very thick. So it's a very, let's say, it's not a loose gauge, but there's very few stitches. I think it's, let's see, 18 stitches for 10 centimeters, 4 inches. So not a ton of stitches, which is, I feel like I've been working on a lot of projects recently where there's a lot of stitches and like one row takes a million years to knit. So this has been my happy place. I've just been, late night knitting, watching a podcast, and it's very relaxing, very enjoyable. Yeah, so beautiful. I love cables. So the yarn that I'm using, this pattern calls for, which I actually wasn't aware before I signed up for the test knit. I kind of just loved it and signed up. I was like, yes, I want to knit it. Had no idea what the yarn was or anything like that prior to doing that. But the yarn is a worsted weight held with a fingering weight or lace weight. So it's supposed to be Drops Lima is supposed to be the worsted Aran weight yarn, and then you hold it with a mohair throughout the whole thing. So it gives you quite a dense or quite a thick yarn that you're working with. Yeah, maybe you can see here. I'm not using the called for yarn at all, which I'll talk about in a second, but it is a thick yarn. So again, it works up more quickly and it's so squishy and lovely. Ooh, I love it. So what I am using, I did go, I guess you could call it stash diving. Does it count as a stash if you like just bought the yarn like a month ago? Anyways, wanted to use things that I already had. So I decided to use some of the Nutiden that I got in the last Nutiden update for their February collection. So this color here, the main color, I'm using Tunit from their collection. This is what the cake looks like. So I'm holding it with another yarn, which I am very excited about. I will tell you about in a second. But yes, I'm holding the Nutiden double. Nutiden, if you have never worked with it, it's very light and airy and fluffy. So like this thing, it barely weighs anything, even though it's so thick. It really, really does not weigh much. I think it weighs, like all of this knitting so far, I think it's like 20 grams. So it's very light, and I definitely think I'll have enough of the Tunit color. I love this color. It's so beautiful. The only thing I regret about it is not getting more. I only got 300 grams, which I think will be enough for this vest, but or slipover, but it's a gorgeous color. It's a lovely cool tone green. I think especially with my cool tone skin color, I'm very pink toned, so I look, in my opinion, I look better in like cool tone things. So I think this is gonna be, I already know I'm gonna love it. It's so beautiful, such a beautiful color. And the feel of it, so soft, so squidgy and airy and light. I love it so much. So yes, I am holding this double throughout the whole thing. And then with that, I got into something new. Oh, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before on this podcast or really anywhere, but I have really been wanting to try out natural dyeing for quite some time. I've seen naturally dyed yarns, I've purchased some myself, and it's just so amazing to me how we can take plant and botanical life and turn it into colors and put it on yarn. Like, that is just crazy to me. So I've been getting into recently in the past few weeks, really been researching and getting into the chemistry of how it all works and the different kinds of plants that you can use to dye things, and just experimenting and having a lot of fun with it. I just think it's really cool. So for this project, I decided to dye up some of my own yarn as the second color, I guess you would want to say, the lace weight that you would hold throughout. So I ended up dyeing this Surrey alpaca. I'm not using mohair because from past experiences with mohair, I find that it can sometimes be itchy for me, especially around the neck area. I get kind of sensitive. So for this project, I am choosing to use Surrey alpaca instead, which is the same weight. It's still a lace weight. I think it may be fewer yards for the amount of, like, for the weight. I think Surrey alpaca in general can be, I think it's like a little bit heavier than kid silk, silk mohair. Anyways, this has silk in it as well, but the fluffy part is Surrey alpaca. So I dyed up 2 skeins of this. So I have one of them still here, and then the other one here. I wonder if the color is being blown out right now. I will also put a picture here of the true color of what it actually looks like in person. It's a very light minty green. It's like so beautiful. I really love this type of green. Again, cool toned, and yeah, just a very light, like a blush of green, I think is what you would call it. But it's definitely like a minty kind of a green. Yeah, very happy with how these came out. They're so soft, and they were so much fun to dye up. I'm definitely going to keep doing natural dyes. It's just so much fun. Yeah, another reason why I chose to, I guess, start dyeing now, why now, is because I was trying to find the perfect, like, contrast color to go with the tunnit for this project. I was trying to find the perfect secondary color in, like, short notice, so I didn't want to, like, order something, and I don't have many yarn shops around here that carried the right color. Yeah, anyways, I wasn't gonna find something quick enough for me to start this test knit, so I was like, okay, gotta get, you know, resourceful with what I have. So yeah, dyed up some green. I love it. I totally love it. So I'm really loving how they're looking together. I wonder if it'll come up correctly on the camera right now, but it really gives this subtle marled effect since the Surrey is a bit lighter than the tunnit, and I think it brings the tunnit up. It kind of, how do you want to say it? It kind of makes it look shiny, or gives it more dimension. Not shiny, but, you know, the light, it brings it up. I don't really know how to say that. But yes, I'm just very happy with how this is working out. The tunnit is amazing. The Surrey is wonderful and beautiful and soft. Oh, I'm having so much fun with this one. And it's just flying off the needles because it works up so quickly, and it's just very fun. So yes, a lot of fun with that one. And I did tell you I want to start doing some more natural dyeing, so I already did. Couldn't help myself. I wanted to see if I could get a bit of a darker green. Not dark, but darker than this. So I also dyed up some non-superwash Highland wool. So 100% wool minis. So I'm so happy with how these came out too. I think it's so beautiful. And these are almost the same color. Sorry, I keep having to go back and get the things on my table. It's very similar to tunnit. I am in a green mood. It is March, so that makes sense, but I love this. It's so much fun. If you've never done natural dyeing, I really recommend it. You can do it with pretty much anything. Well, not pretty much anything, but like avocado skins or onion skins, those two things, avocado skins and onion skins, you don't even need anything else. You can just like simmer those in a pot and put some yarn in and you'll get color. So cool. So having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, so I think that's it for that project for this week. I will, of course, update you guys when I have more progress on that project. So next is a project that I am designing myself, kind of playing around with some ideas and just having fun with my Nutiden. I am in love with Nutiden, if you couldn't tell. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So a couple of weeks ago, I cast on this beret, made a chart, and just kind of started knitting. So this is how it's looking so far. It is not blocked. I have not steam blocked it or anything like that, so it's kind of crunchy in a few places. But yeah, that's how it's looking like so far. I am having so much fun with this. It's a lot of baubles, if you can't tell. All of the white pretty much is baubles. So yeah, rows and rows, or rounds and rounds rather, of baubles. So many baubles. I just finished the Anne Boleyn with like 1,000,000 baubles in it. Why am I doing this to myself? But it is fun. I do really love baubles. I don't know, just the fluffiness of the Nutiden yarn and like the combination of that with baubles, it's like the fluffiest thing. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it is getting very big. So you can see compared to me, it's kind of getting big. I did intend for this to be kind of a large beret, so it will be going on my head like this. So I am almost, at this point, for what I've charted out, I am almost to the widest part. There's only a couple more rows for me to keep widening it, and then it's going to start going inwards and going towards the brim at the bottom. So yeah, having a lot of fun with that. There are purl stitches and some floats in the front at the top, some little floats in the front. Was just playing with textures and different stitch patterns and baubles, of course. So yeah, having a lot of fun with it. So in this sort of situation here where it is all flattened out, it's not all scrunched up on my needles, it kind of looks like a sun mandala, sort of a motif, I think. But when it's actually scrunched up on the needles, I'll put a picture here. Sorry, I almost dropped this. I'll put a picture here of what it looks like when it's really scrunched up. It kind of looks like a sea urchin's shell. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen this. I posted about it a couple weeks ago, and so many people were saying it looks like a sea urchin, it looks like a sea urchin. That was totally not intentional, but I totally saw it and think that's really cool. And then I went to a local store and I found this little guy. Wow, I wonder if you're gonna see it. It's so tiny, but this is an actual sea urchin's shell. So no sea urchins were harmed in the gathering of this shell. It's kind of like starfish. When they die, it's left over. It's like their skeleton. But I just think it's so beautiful. I had never seen one in person before I picked some of these up. But yeah, I really think they go so well together. It's very much from the same vein. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, you don't even intend for this to happen, and then it just happens to work out that way, and I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool, and these are so beautiful and cute, and it really does look very similar. I'll put a picture of this as well so you can see the details and the similarities between these. So, along that vein, I think I have decided on the name. I am naming this Diadema, the design, Diadema. Diadema is a type of sea urchin, and I think the name is just so beautiful. It's actually a black sea urchin, but either way, I think it's a beautiful name, and yeah, it'll be like a little friend on your head. A little friend on my head, little sea urchin friend. So yeah, I am having a lot of fun with this. I have a few Nutiden tips. This was the first thing that I cast on when I got my Nutiden a few weeks ago. This was my first time getting Nutiden, so this was my first attempt at using Nutiden, and I have some tips for you if you have never used it, or if you have and you struggle with it, or really any kind of unspun yarn, since that's what this is. It is unspun yarn, so there's no twist to it. It's pencil roving, so it's just fiber. So a tip would be, if you are knitting with it and it is breaking on you, I would recommend to pull very close. Whenever you want to pull or tension the yarn, you need to pull very close to your live stitches. So you can see here, I am very close to the knitting itself, and that's when you want to pull. So like in this pattern in particular, oh, the back. In this pattern in particular, for the baubles, I do need to pull them at one point to make them kind of stand out from the fabric. So I'm doing that. In order to make that work, you have to pull it very close. That is because the fiber length is not super long, and since it isn't spun, it doesn't have that strength added to it. So when you pull on it, you need to make sure you're pulling the same fiber length that is part of your stitch, if that makes sense. Because if you're pulling too far away, it's just gonna fall apart and rip. But yeah, that would be a very big recommendation, so that it doesn't fall apart on you a lot. Oh, I also forgot to say, on my other project, on the Swirl Slipover, on this guy. This, however, in contrast to this one I am holding Nutiden just one strand by itself, which is a lot more, you need to pay attention a lot more to what you're doing, and pay attention a lot more to your tension so that you don't accidentally break the yarn. Whereas for this, it is the complete opposite. You can pull this to your heart's content. You can pull this yarn, this little yarn combo here, you can pull this to your heart's content and it is not going to break. Well, okay, it will at some point, but you can pull it like a normal yarn is what I'm saying. Like a normal yarn, and it's going to be fine. And I think that is because of the Surrey alpaca that is with it. Since Surrey alpaca and mohair, silk mohair, they have that kind of core of silk, which silk doesn't stretch at all. So when you pull on it, it's not going to stretch, it's going to stay there. So I think it's kind of cool how it works with the two strands of Nutiden. It's like when you pull on it, it's actually pulling on the silk and not the Nutiden. Does that make sense? I hope so. But either way, this is very easy to work up from a tension standpoint because of that reason. So I would highly recommend, again, if you're using unspun yarn and you're having troubles or anything like that, put some mohair or put some Surrey alpaca with it, something with a silk core, something that doesn't stretch, and you're going to have a lot of an easier time, I think. Yeah. So I think that's everything I want to say about this one. It is taking a little while to do each round because of the baubles, and I'm having so much fun with it though, and I really want to see how it's going to come out in the end. I think it'll be it's just really cool to look at. Yeah, so having fun with that. When I do finish knitting it, I will be doing a test knit call in case any of you all want to knit it as well. I already have the chart for it, and in my opinion, it's a pretty simple pattern if you can read charts. So there we go. I will be publishing it at some point. Oh yes, also again on Swirl Slipover. Let's come back to this again because I keep forgetting to say things. On this one again, one thing about the pattern is that the entire chart, or all of the cables, at this point is only charted. So if you are a row by row person, I'm not sure if they're going to be adding that in at some point. At this point it's only charted. it is, in my opinion, like, you can understand the charts. Again, it's an intuitive pattern. They do actually start you off with, like they say the one row, they say the first row, how to do it stitch by stitch, but then from then on, it's charted. But I think you could learn it for this one. It's pretty simple in my opinion. But yeah, that's just something to note if you are thinking about casting this on when it does come out. Alrighty, and my next project to share with you, another work in progress that I am chugging along on, and I'm just so excited about this project. So this is the Yell cardigan. I am continuing on my Yell cardigan, and I'm loving how it's working out, and it's almost done, sort of. I'm just having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely a springtime knit with the colors and all, so I'm hoping to have it done very soon so that I can keep wearing it throughout the spring and it'll be very time appropriate. So since we last spoke, I finished the second arm, so now both of the arms are finished. Here they are. This is a pattern by Marie Wallen, by the way, if you haven't heard of this pattern before, the Yell cardigan. So it is a completely colorwork pattern. It is using US size 3 needles, and it's all colorwork, so it does take me a little while to knit it. Yeah, but loving the pattern. It is coming along. At this point, I have memorized this main colorwork motif, if you want to call it. And then I also have gotten back to the body section, which I am very close to being finished with the arm steek holes. Sleeve steek sections. I don't know what you would want to call that. But here we go. Let's see if I can get it all in frame. Ooh, maybe. So let's see. Last time I really spoke about the body was, I think, last year. It's been a while that this thing has been on my needles. But I had actually knit too long at one point, too long before the armhole steeks or before the sleeve steeks, and I had to rip out 2 inches. Sad. But it's okay because I've gotten that fixed and gone past that and even more. And I'm dropping stitches, but that's okay. This kind of rustic wool, this is Jamieson and Smith and Jamieson's of Shetland wool. And if you lose your stitches, it's really okay. They're not going to run easily, so not too worried about that. Anyways, like I said, I have gotten the steeks going now. So you can see here the sleeve steek number 1. Maybe you can see that. It's just this vertical line of stitches. So you're knitting the body straight. This is would be like the underarm section right here. So you're knitting the body straight, bottom up, and then once you're getting to where the underarm of the sleeve will be, you want to add in a steek portion. So you have to add, I think it's like 5 stitches, which at that point you keep knitting up, and when you're done with the length of the whole cardigan, then you will cut open the steeks and add the sleeves in. And I have talked about my modifications to this pattern plenty of times, so I'm not going to bore you with it again. If you would like to know about my modifications, I spoke pretty much a lot about it in the last video, so I will link it here if you would like to hear what I'm doing. But the connection that I'm going to have to do for the arms to the body is definitely going to be different than the pattern. Probably going to have to do like a Kitchener stitch sort of situation. We will see. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine either way. But yeah, I am really close to being finished with this. I'm really close to being finished with the steeks portion, and then the next step is some, what is this called? Sleeve? No, not sleeve. Shoulder. Some shoulder shaping. And then at that point, I think it's ready to cut open the steeks, and then you add like a finishing band around the front section. This is the front steek. So hopefully you can see all the way down. So you won't see those lines in the end. if you're not aware of steeks. Those won't be there. So yeah, it's coming along, and I'm really excited about it. It is quite heavy, actually. I'm actually kind of surprised how heavy it is. I guess because it's color work, so it's like double thickness, not just like a fingering weight. But yes, I am so excited to almost have this done. It's been in the works for so long, and I'm just so excited to be able to wear it, actually. It's a lot of knitting and a lot of color work, but I think it's totally going to be worth it. Will definitely be an heirloom piece that I can pass down, and it's beautiful. Thank you, Marie Wallen, for making such beautiful patterns, such beautiful color work motifs. And these, again, are not the original colors. I have all of the colorways linked in my Ravelry page if you would like to know exactly which colors I used. It's a mixture of Jameson and Smith and Jameson's of Shetland wool. So, yeah. Oh, and I wanted to mention something that I picked up. I was noticing, or I had the need for a method to try this body on. When I was trying to figure out how long I wanted to make the body portion, I wanted to make it shorter than the original, because I have kind of a short torso, I feel, or maybe I just like my sweaters to be a little bit more cropped than like the pattern would call for normally. But as it is right now on the needles, you can see it's not able to stretch all the way out. So I needed something to easily slip all of my stitches onto so that I could try it on and it would be able to stretch out to its actual width. And I was not about to go and slip every single stitch by stitch, onto some scrap yarn and then put it all back on the needles. Like, this is like hundreds of stitches, so I was not going to do that. So I've been hearing about these things. I think they're called barber pole. I don't remember exactly what they're called. Something about a barber pole. But I ended up picking up some for myself. So barber pole cords, maybe. These aren't the actual barber pole ones. I got these ones from an Etsy shop because I've just had such a hard time finding the original ones, probably because they're so popular. But either way, I got this huge strand. So I'm probably going to cut this into smaller lengths because it's a lot right now. But either way, this is a very, very useful little thing here. Sorry, I was just putting the tin down. So how it works is you put, where are my needles? Okay, here's my needles. So basically what you do, it's a hollow cord, and you just snap it onto the tip of your needle, and you kind of want to suction it on there. It's the suction that makes it stay on your needles. And then you can just slip your needles onto the cord, and you can either leave your actual needle cord slightly in or take it completely out, whatever you want to do. But yeah, you can slip it all onto this cord, easy peasy, and you don't have to spend the time slipping individually each stitch, and it's too much, especially for something that's like a sweater, like the body of a sweater, or anything that's large circumference with tons of stitches. So I would highly recommend picking one of these up. I think it's really great for designing as well, or like a top-down sweater that you want to try on while you're knitting it. Super, super helpful. One thing I will say is when I was doing that with this Yell cardigan, when I was slipping all the stitches on, it does have a pretty good suction as it is for this to stick on the tip of the needle. But I will say don't pull it too hard, because there was one point where I accidentally pulled it too hard on this cord, and it broke off and some of my stitches got lost. So yeah, that's just one thing to note. Don't pull it too hard, but you can slip it on quite easily, and it's a lot faster than slipping every single stitch individually. So yeah, go pick some of those up for yourself. I will link where I got them down below. You can find them at tons of yarn stores. Your local yarn store probably has their own version of it, or something like that. And I think that is everything I wanted to share with you today. So yeah, I think we will end the episode here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had some good knitting time if you are knitting while watching this or whatever you may be doing. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. And if you did enjoy today's episode, please do like and subscribe to this video, or like this video and subscribe to this channel. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.